well, of course, where are my manners? It's probably very stylistically inadvisable to start a course off talking about the deficits of last semester students. Of course, that's where most of my data is. I had 200 students, exams, homeworks, book reports. That's where my data is. So that's why we talk about the deficits of last semester students. Not to say that those deficits were egregious. In all fairness, those students were quite good. But what you're really asking was, what was the outtake from that last video? That was an example of my deficits. We should probably talk about those. I was supposed to dump some dandelions, and I dumped them in the wrong place. I deviated from orders. And I didn't recognize that there was a deviation. If you don't know it was bad, how would you prevent yourself from doing it? And that's the fundamental question, or that's the fundamental problem that through the thinking tools that we will try to cultivate in this class, hopefully will ameliorate. Identifying what the relevant properties are, how we would find constraints. And so hopefully steer ourselves and others to better, more on-point action. Clearly, that's a error-prone iterative process, but without any algorithm at all, we would probably be even worse off. So with those disclaimers that even the teacher is far from perfect, and that the previous students whom we had been analyzing weren't all that bad. With those two disclaimers out of the way, back to the question we were at the outtake. So we had explained my intended answers to a couple questions. What is capitalism? How do Western table manners differ from Chinese ones? Big questions. And I decided those are too big. And so I thought up one-sentence answers. Capitalism society based on, or organized around selfish gamblers. And mind your own business is the first rule of Western table manners. Two one-sentence answers. Not complete, but very substantive answers to two big questions. And I thought, okay, I gave him a one-sentence out. These questions are no longer too hard. We're good. Let's compare that to the data, the answers that I actually saw. Wow. An essay on the transition from feudalism to early capitalism. Wow. I didn't know the soup spoon was supposed to go there. I got some big essays that in some ways were above what I was expecting, but also they sort of looked like someone had memorized an encyclopedia article. Either snuck their phone into the exam, which I'm sure almost no one did, there were just way too many people watching, or they actually memorized these things and reproduced memorized paragraphs on an exam. Wow. That requires a lot of mental horsepower. I couldn't do that. So I'm seeing these impressive feats of mental gymnastics, but then again, sometimes they didn't really answer the question. very few actual Western meals have dessert spoons at all. So knowing where the dessert spoon should go is nice, but it's not relevant in 99% of actual meals in the West. Big answer, impressive. Doesn't really answer my question, though. And now on to the book reports. The book reports were interesting. Actually, no, they were very boring. They all read the same. Although that was interesting. The book we assigned was Surely You're Joking, Mr. Feynman by Richard Feynman. Good book. It's a book. Doesn't matter what book. The reports, though, were very similar. Looks like some people might have copied. A lot of people. Was that just this one assignment? No. Happened a lot. How do I know it happened a lot? Well, a lot of people on the homeworks would write back to me long things. And not always stuff they found online. Sometimes it was stuff I had written in the lecture notes. Your professor might not be able to find stuff you found online and copied, but he probably will recognize his own lecture notes. Granted, I wasn't really looking to police and catch people, which is what makes the data significant. There were a couple times where someone would be writing, and there would be a sentence that doesn't belong. Like, we thank the editors of this journal for publishing this essay. Or a quiz is at the end of this section. Or a URL for a website to get essays. Definitely shouldn't be there. And I could see if someone was just copy-pasting, I could see accidentally a line that you should have stopped at. Hey guys, copy-pasted it in. I could see that. Look, we're all busy. Sometimes we make errors. But these were handwritten essays, not copy-pasted. So someone had written all this and wrote that whole incriminating sentence without processing what the words meant and realizing, oh, I shouldn't write that. So we're seeing a very bimodal level of skill in the students. We're seeing bad stuff. Not reading to the end of the word or the end of the sentence in the which will, William III versus William the Silent section. Not reading what they're writing. Writing sentences that tell me that they copied the whole essay. Dumb. But then we also see what looked like people had memorized a paragraph or two of an article. Like amazing powers of memorization. Far beyond what I could hope to do. And in some fields, yes, that latter strength is very important. But the point is that we have a bit of a disconnect in level. So I was thinking, what's going on here? Well, we'll answer that in two parts, which we'll get to in the next video, or at least one of them.